So finishing up our tour, or at least most of our tour, for the 8 steps to X-ray a new language, one thing we haven't talked about yet is library management. And remember, we started off by saying that sometimes the whole point of learning a new language is because you want to learn some framework or use some set of libraries that's primarily supported in that language. So bundler is the standard way we do it in Ruby, and it solves a couple of useful problems with respect to library and package management. In terms of terminology, Ruby libraries are called gems. I know, it's kind of cute. And using a gem is actually really simple. Somewhere at the top of one of the files in the app that's going to use the gem, you just say require, you give it the name of the gem. There is a sort of system managed package repository that allows the gem to be found. And once you've used require, the functionality of that gem and the methods and things defined in it are now available within that file. You can look at the gem documentation and you can learn whether, for example, you always have to fully qualify the names of the methods and constants. Some gems are also nice enough to use include to mix some of the names directly into the class that's requiring it. So you don't have to always preface every method call with the name of the gem. If you've used Python, this is similar to the difference between importing a package and saying from package import so-and-so, where you then get the names directly available in your local namespace. But the big problem with libraries really in any language is what a lot of programmers call library hell, which is that the application depends on a whole bunch of different libraries, but not every version of those libraries is compatible with every other version of the other libraries. And this is the thing that bundler, which is actually itself a gem, solves very well. The way you use it is every project that's sort of non-trivial, that consists of more than a couple of files or relies on more than 1 or 2 gems, will have a gem file which lists which libraries it depends on, and if appropriate, whether there are version constraints around that. So for example, a gem file for a project might say, this project uses Ruby 2.7.1. That's important because not all versions of every library are compatible with every version of the language. I'm going to get all of my gems from rubygems.org, which is sort of the canonical place that you would go get them. And my app relies on 3 gems. I want the gem called Sinatra, and any version greater than 2.0 would be okay. I want the gem called Stripe, and I don't really care which version. And I want the gem called Cucumber, and I want any version that is in the 3.x. So for example, in the gem Sinatra line, Sinatra version 4 would match this constraint, but in the gem Cucumber line, Cucumber 4 would not, because this notation just means something that is within the major release 3 family. There's a bunch of other bundler syntax and options that you can look up, but the basic idea is that when you run bundle install on this file, it will ideally produce another file called gemfile.lock, where it will have figured out what are the versions of all of the various libraries that actually make for a consistent set, where there's no incompatibilities among your gems. And sometimes it won't be able to do it. Basically, sometimes it'll say, you've asked for version this of this gem and some other version of this other gem, and there is no collection of gems in which both of those things can exist. So you need to figure out how to relax your constraints. The gemfile.lock becomes versioned along with your project. So basically, whenever somebody else grabs your code, they also have a list of the exact versions of all the libraries with which your code has been running for you. And this is a very nice solution to the problem of, I don't understand. I just downloaded the other person's code and it works for them, but it doesn't work for me. And sometimes it's because you don't all have the same library versions. The way that Ruby does versioning, which is the way a lot of languages and packages do it now, is what's called semantic versioning. That means the version number will typically have 3 parts separated by a dot. The rightmost part is a sort of a patch or a backwards compatible bug fix. So when it goes from 4.11.2 to 4.11.3, usually it means there's some bug or other thing that has been fixed. And for the most part, it's safe for you to upgrade to use that version of the library without changes to your code. Usually an increase in the middle number is what's also called the minor version number, means that new functionality has been added, but it's backwards compatible. So nothing in your code will break if you upgrade, and there will be some new functionality available that maybe right now you don't need to use. And finally, when the major version number changes, it means there are breaking changes in the API. There are ways that functions are called. Things may have moved from one module or class to another. You should not expect your app to just work if you upgrade to the latest major version. Expect to require some surgery on your app in order for that to happen. So bundler is a way that is a mechanism for managing all of these dependencies in a very graceful way, which is why almost every time you start a new programming assignment, start a new project, one of the very first things you'll do is you'll run bundle install to make sure that all of the versions of libraries specified in gemfile.lock are either available on your system, or if they're not, Bundler will try to go out and download them and install them for you and get you a working set of packages. Good times.